Well, good morning, folks. Hope you all doing well this morning. Today is Saturday. Happy Saturday, and we got a lot going on today. We got this much talked about system moving through the middle part of the country, translating eastward and northeastward. And models have come into better agreement this morning with potential for winter weather up to the north, northeast, mid-Atlantic, but we're still uncertain about exact impacts with this. The forecast could still change. It's been waffling back and forth the past, I don't know, 3 or 4 days at least. So what we do know in the short term, potential for severe weather, flooding in the next couple days here in the south and the southeast, right? And right now, we got some heavy rain moving through the middle part of the country, and after that, in the longer term, activity will increase off the west coast as well. So, welcome to my channel. My name is Tim Ayler, meteorologist. Like I said, we're monitoring all these systems this weekend. I appreciate y'all watching. I just reached 900 subscribers. I appreciate that. And if you haven't subscribed, like my video if you like it, share with your friends. Any suggestions or comments, please put them in the comments below. And let's get started here. So what do we got going for hazards in the nation right now? Not a lot going on, although the flooding and severe thunderstorms, we had some special weather statements with the storms moving through parts of western Texas with a short wave moving through the area. Some mesoscale discussions with heavy rainfall moving to the north here, and you can see that shield of rain moving through. And they just issued another mesoscale precipitation discussion further to the east here. So that's important to think about this morning if you're trying to travel through these areas. Other than that, we have a dense fog advisory along the Gulf Coast here, Louisiana Gulf Coast, Mississippi, Texas, Atlanta area, special weather statement. Well, we got another high fire danger conditions one more day here in parts of Georgia, which of course that will end when the rain comes through tomorrow, but for now, pretty dry. All right. So in central part of the country, higher fire danger, fire weather watch, right, for strong gusty winds around 60 miles per hour in these areas or higher. And we also have winter weather advisories in the higher terrain of the Colorado Rockies and New Mexico, higher terrain here. Up to the north and Michigan area, special weather statement, freezing fog overnight as we go into Saturday today. And out west, we have the beginnings of the system coming out west here with winter storm watches, wind advisories, dense fog with some lingering moisture in the valleys here. A lot of stagnant air still, but that will change and that will not be an issue here in the next couple days. Winter storm watches, so we know what's coming here. And up in North Dakota, we also have special weather statement for patchy fog. So not too much going on, but there's quite a bit here. Let's see, wind advisory right along the Texas coastline as well. So we have a severe risk Sunday here in middle Georgia and south central Georgia and parts of Florida, with a marginal risk for severe weather all the way up to just south of Macon, Dublin, Dahlia, into parts of Alabama. And at the higher risk further to the south, we have a large hail risk, which is small, down to quite a short. The hail risk is not that big. It's more damaging winds or tornadoes as the storms move through the area. Should occur between 1 and 9 p.m. We'll see if we get into severe weather. I think the biggest threat is for rainfall on Sunday, maybe 1 to 2 inches of rain here. So for today, highs in the 60s to near 70, upper 50s in the northeast, with no precip expected, right? Overnight tonight, low temperatures in the 40s to near 50 further to the south. Precip chances on the increase from north to south. You have higher probability of precip in the north, less in the south. And then tomorrow, of course, high temperatures will be modulated by the rainfall, but you see 100% chance of precip throughout the whole area. So that's pretty good confidence we're going to have rainfall tomorrow. So yeah, So get your umbrellas out. As far as temperatures, 15-day temperatures past this weekend, it's going to warm up quite a bit here through the through next week into next weekend. Um, and for temps for highs, especially and lows, 60s, 70s, near 60 for a low next Friday, and cooling down likely some here to near normal temps in the 60s. I'll take that. And warming up again towards the end of the period, but um, not overly cold or hot. When you get close to 80, it starts to feel kind of warm with those dew points being high. But we'll spring is on the way, guys, at least for right now. So the risk of heavy rainfall is ongoing here. You see the radar, right? But to the northern extent of this precipitation shield, which is ongoing right now. Um, sorry for my toolbar here, right? As this precipitation moves into this area, you have this slight risk into parts of Arkansas. I'll take this off. Pine Bluff, all the way to the south into parts of northwest Texas, and a larger marginal risk into Missouri, Illinois, Tennessee, parts of Mississippi, Louisiana, and parts of Texas into central Oklahoma, parts of eastern Kansas here. So moving on to day 2, you have a large risk of marginal risk here. Most of Georgia, with the exception of northern Georgia, southeastern Alabama, northern Florida, most of South Carolina, most of North Carolina and Virginia, and parts of Maryland and Delaware here along the coast. Moving to day 3, we move out to the California coast with a slight risk here along the California coast and points inland here a little ways with a marginal risk. Then you go to day 4, you still maintain this marginal risk here in parts of Southern California, Los Angeles area, Santa Barbara, Santa Maria, San Diego. And then day 5, we have nothing on the map just yet, but that could change with Pacific systems continue to come on shore out west. So for the severe weather outlook, we have a large risk, marginal risk here, surrounded by, well, not surrounding a slight risk here. All right, get my mic a little closer. Well, the slight risk is driven by the wind risk, right? And so tornado risk is 2% in the larger area, 5% right along the coastline here, Louisiana, right? Mississippi, parts of Texas, Houston, Texas, not Houston, right? So, and we're going to discuss this in my analysis of the severe weather threat. If you want to stick around for that. Wind, you see the slight risk of winds reaching severe criteria, which is 50 knots or greater within 25 miles of a point. In a larger area here, 5% chance. So 15 and 5. So wind risk, that's the wind risk. Hail risk is further to the west with the steeper lapse rates and things like that as the system moves through in the early period here. So not much of a hail risk, severe hail risk further to the east with this. So we move further to the east. We have a large risk of general thunderstorms with a marginal risk all the way up into central Georgia towards Savannah, Birmingham, Alabama, Louisville, Mississippi, all the way down to New Orleans, right? And a slight risk encompasses parts of northern Florida, Florida Panhandle, parts of South Georgia, down to Albany, Brunswick, and points to the south are also within the marginal risk here as well. Generally central Florida up towards Jacksonville. So this is driven by tornado risk. You have a 2% tornado risk in the green area and a 5% tornado risk in the brown. So highest confidence for tornadoes here is in the brown area. And hail, surprisingly enough, we have a slight hail risk, a marginal hail risk in this large area here. And wind, this is driven mostly by wind. Let's go back to tornado risk, right? Tornado and wind risk. So the wind risk is driving the 15% risk right here. So although high winds are possible anywhere in this area here. Moving to the day 3, we have a slight risk of a marginal risk, severe weather right along the Los Angeles, the southwestern coast of California here tomorrow with a larger just general thunderstorm risk all the way up the California coast to parts of the coastal Oregon as well. Moving on to the 3 to 7 day U.S. hazards outlook. Heavy precip expected the 16th and 17th along the California coast, and heavy snow in the Sierra Nevada range. Okay, and moving on, 8 to 14 day outlook. Moderate to slight risk of heavy precip along the west coast here on the dates listed. Snowfall, heavy snowfall possible here, the 21st to the 27th in the highlighted areas, with a moderate risk in the Cascades here during that period, and in the Intermountain West here, parts of the northern high plains and the mountainous terrain here. Risk of high winds right along the west coast here, again the 21st to the 27th, with the west coast becoming quite active, and along the southern coast of Alaska. And risk of hazardous temperatures, the only risk of colder than normal temperatures is in far southern Alaska during these dates here, kind of aligning with the through the whole period, really. So let's begin this forecast with generally the short term here. This is ACRRR initialized at 3 a.m., so it's about 5 a.m. now. Let's move through here. This is 15-minute intervals, okay? So rainfall ongoing here in the eastern part of right to the east of the Rockies, right? So the Texas, Oklahoma, and Kansas area, all right? And some thunderstorms going on, right? This morning, not a lot going on out west just yet, but as we go through the day today, 9, 10, 11, you see this line to the east here in Texas reinvigorates, right? And we'll go over this in more detail when we detail the central U.S. So focus on the west coast here, right? Some rainfall coming on shore out west here this afternoon. You see the low spinning offshore, and it tries to make its way onshore here towards the end of the period, right? So let's go to the a bit further out, the 6Z run, okay? So 9 p.m. The storm move out of the eastern area, right, of this zone, this westerly zone, right? Low spinning offshore, heavy rainfall moves its way onshore here into parts of Northern California. Snow in the higher elevations, maybe some snow in the higher terrain up here in the northern part of the U.S., but not a lot going on there, right? Maybe some high winds as well. This low spinning offshore brings more moisture and heavy rain for most of northern and central California. Heavy snow here as well. As we move into central U.S. here, we got the initialization of the HRR about 5 a.m. Moisture to the north here. Showers and storms moving through the parts of Texas. This low really starts getting this line of storms going this evening, this afternoon, this evening, with severe weather likely here. I guess I shouldn't say likely. There's a slight risk of severe weather here, but you see the strong line of storms here, especially along the Gulf Coast, where the highest moisture content is, most instability. Some stratiform precip further to the north here, but we could have some tornadoes here in this far southern part with this line pushing through. So maybe some more convection initiating ahead of the line here, at least according to the HRR, right? And we'll analyze this a little bit further from a severe threat perspective. But this is in general the timing, right? So 5 a.m. Sunday, you're waking up the showers and storms moving through the Alabama, parts of Mississippi, right? Sorry about that. My states, it frustrates me. Sometimes I get them mixed up. Louisiana. And then heavy rain and possibly storms, but it looks like more stratiform type precip moving ahead of this line, right? Maybe another line developing out ahead of this, and then moves out Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening, with maybe some more storms, some more showers moving through as that mid-level feature moves through the area. And then we have some precip further to the north here, but so by the time Sunday night comes around, it looks to be out of the area here. And now we're going to move on to the eastern U.S. As far as the eastern U.S., what we got going on? Well, we see at the beginning of this period, roughly about now, um, storms moving through the middle part of the country. You see the storms pushing the east here, severe weather ongoing here, Louisiana, Mississippi. More just stratiform precip further to the north here. The line, and you see some convection initiating out in the front of this line. We could have some supercells here, and like I said, we'll talk about that. Moisture pushing to the north here, and then we get into Sunday morning, likely heavy rainfall, ongoing severe weather, pushing through the central and southern Georgia, um, especially in the southern part of Georgia here, right? Overall, pretty much a washout for most of the southeast, right? And the HRRR really doesn't show much here further to the north like the globals do, as far as snowfall goes. But its reliability further out, as far as this isn't as good. This is more of a general look at this. So what I'm going to do is switch to the NAM and the GFS here and see what it says. So we look at the latest NAM. This is initialized at 5 a.m. This goes out 60 hours from initialization time. All right. So we got this large stratiform area precip. It doesn't have as much coverage as the HRRR does. So interesting. But you see the storms here in parts of eastern Alabama. A lot of storms going on here, and perhaps a reinvigoration of the storms here in parts of southern and central Georgia as that mid-level feature moves through. So let's look at the mid-level feature real quick. Yeah, see the mid-level low here? Okay. And we got our system swinging to the north here as well. And you see it becomes invigorated, right? It just gets enough energy here with the southern stream to initialize some snowfall up to the north here. We go back here. Well, a little further back. See this right here? The NAM is definitely showing this, right? And I would rely on the NAM a little bit more at this range for this kind of forecast. So yeah, um, the global models are showing this too. So let's go back to the upper air heights here real quick. Pretty strong little mid-level feature shortwave moving through the flow here. So yeah. So the globals have been hitting at this for quite some time, and on and off, with the European actually the most insistent on and off about it. We're still a day out, but I would say at this point there's a better chance than not that we'll have some wind and weather up here to the north. All right, so we'll go over this in a little bit more detail too from the northeast in another part of the forecast. So when we look at the severe threat ongoing this morning, this morning we don't have a lot of 850 millibar flow, but we do have some steeper lapse rates, right? And if we go to 700 millibars, we can see that here on the HREF. You see the lapse rates here, which is likely contributing to some hail and different um, no tornado threat, right? But some hail with this upper mid-level feature moving through the west here, right? Moving through the east. I don't know what I'm talking about here. Let me get this straight, right? So we go back to 500 millibars. This is not refreshing that quickly. Sorry, guys. This is roughly right now. Okay. And this is a HREF short range ensemble viewer, right? So this combines all the short range models into something we can look at. Okay. Right. And so this moves through 500 millibars. You see the mid-level low moving to the east. and it just swings through, right? And so this is pretty far south, as far as mid-level features go. And you see how it kind of lifts up a little bit, right? It never really become negatively tilted either, although it's somewhat neutral here, right? You switch to the 700 millibar, which is a little bit lower in the atmosphere. See, we get into tomorrow or Sunday morning along the coastline of Louisiana, Mississippi here. It's a pretty strong 700 millibar flow, and 850 millibar flow as well. And this keeps switching back. When you have this low level flow increasing here at 850 millibars, this increases the low level winds, and then if you have the right shear in the atmosphere at the upper levels, right, different changing direction with height, you get supercells. And if there's other thermodynamic features that are favorable, you could get tornadoes, right? So this low level jet weakens some as this moves through further to the east. So you can see why this becomes a little more positively tilted here. Although very subtle what's going on right now. So I mean at this point. So you just gotta take take it for what it is here. You can see the 850 millibar flow is still pretty strong. You could see why they have this slight risk here all the way up in the central Georgia and points to the west here for tomorrow. Okay, so important factor when we look at severe weather is dew points, right? Moisture in the atmosphere. Generally like to see 60-degree Fahrenheit dew points, depending on the other factors in the environment. But so going through today, you see the 60s, 65 degree dew points moving all the way up in the southern Oklahoma, and it kind of gets pinched off a little bit here. But you see why the highest chances of the slight risk here where the highest dew points are. Okay, and that moves to the east, and of course it struggles to get the higher dew points struggle to get to the north here Sunday evening or during the day on Sunday. You see where that cutoff is, right? So that's where the issue is there, why there's not a threat further to the north. Although I bet you the possibility for elevated convection is here as well, further to the north in this marginal area. So we got that. That's your dew points, okay? So let's look at surface temperatures here. We'll look at surface temperatures, plenty warm, 60s, 70s. Look how warm it is down here. Wow, okay. But you move overnight tonight, 60s, 70s along the Gulf Coast, and into tomorrow, into Sunday, you see the warmest temps reaching maybe 60 up in the parts of central Georgia, central South Carolina, places like that. So that's part of your dew point equation, right? You know, the dew point temperature can't be above the actual temperature itself. They're equal at 100%, but you know what I'm saying, right? So there's that factor as well. So, surface-based CAPE is one of the factors too, and that's based on instability, right? So this is a model depiction of what surface-based CAPE max would be. We go to mean from the short-range models, and we look at updraft velocity. We put that on there, which would show us up rotating supercells and shear, right? Let's take the shear back off because it just messes up this whole thing. So the surface-based CAPE is not that high. You're talking 500 to 1,000 joules per kilogram here, maybe, if we're lucky, right? But that with other kinematics in place that are otherwise favorable, um, we have rotating supercells here, either within the line or ahead of it, right? Overnight, you see where the higher CAPE values are too. Here, further to the south, you have more storm initiation as well. Okay. So that moves through, and you get some reinvigoration right along the Gulf Coast here, potentially into right offshore here as well. So you see where the highest surface-based cape could be um, into Sunday evening, right along the Florida Panhandle, parts of Alabama, Mississippi here. So that's the max. This is the mean. That's the min. So yeah, so quite a big range there, but we usually look at the mean, right? So less than 1,000 joules per kilogram here. So this is a graphic showing the 24-hour neighborhood probability of hail, right? So these are the updraft helicity swaths, right? And it shows a lot of those, but the hail probability, you take this off, 2%. So right along the western area of this, right? So you take this out of here, you categorical, you see your hail risk is further to the west here, okay? Now you have your tornado risk, right? We bring our tornado risk up, not zero, but also not that high, at least a calibrated 2%, all right? So um, some confidence in tornadoes here, but more likely wind threat, right? So we go to winds, SPC guidance for winds. You can see why they're have a slightly risk surrounding the winds, because you have your probabilities here a lot higher for the wind threat, right? So that's that. So I wanted to show this as well. This is a different, well, this is all the different models that this product ingests to give you this output here, right? This is HRRR. Moving through the time frame of interest here. You see the most vigorous convection down here in the slight risk area, right? And these other models differ in the updraft helicity and the intensity of these storms, but you can see some of them have some pretty robust updrafts down here in this slight risk area. Okay, so HRR does 6-hour HRR, as well as some of the other models. So you move this to the east, and then it moves out of the area. So let's move to the southeast. It takes a minute for this to load, so bear with me, guys. It's slow this morning. So for the southeast, we just have these storms coming through, and it's more uncertain about the severity here. Let me put the outlooks in for day 2 here, if they're going to show up. There we go. You see the slight risk along the Gulf Coast here, up into parts of Alabama, Mississippi, and parts of South-Central Georgia. But it's really unknown. Well, it's hard to. I don't think the. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I'm just out here. Sorry. Let's look at the dew points again real quick. So frustrating. This thing is not loading. Hard to do this on the fly. See, dew points don't get that far to the north here that are favorable, right? So kinematics will be there, I guess, but somewhat, but with limited moisture pull to the north, I don't see the severe threat getting far up the coast, but um, you know, I guess we'll have to see. Uh, let's look at this significant tornado parameter real quick. Let's look at the potential for tornadoes here. Significant. It's not zero down in this area, but it's not that high either. Let's see updraft felicity. You see the updrafts are mostly relegated to southwest Georgia, southeastern Alabama, and parts of right along the Gulf Coast here. So if instability can be realized further north, then we could get some more rotating updrafts, but at least right now, it doesn't look too favorable here. Let's look at storm relative velocity values. Yeah, you see during the day, they kind of wane with time here, right? And let's look at the updraft velocity associated with these, right? It's not really aligned that well with the storm relative velocity swath, but it's sufficient enough for rotating updrafts here. So let's look at 0 to 1 kilometer. Again, the 0 to 1 kilometer storm relative velocity values are highest and not really associated that closely with the helicity values. So let's look at the surface real quick. Temperature and surface here. Let's see where our surface low. There's your surface low. And it's actually weakening and moving to the south with time here, but it's not that strong, about 1,008 millibars. You can see it right here. So, and temperatures in the 60s, right? So, I don't know, we'll have to see how this plays out, and maybe tomorrow morning it will be have a better handle on this part of it, hopefully. So I'm going to start off with the AIGFS and move to the time frame ranges for the Northeast U.S. You see into Monday morning or Saturday. Let's see, yeah, 06C. So Monday morning, overnight on Sunday night into Monday. It's a favorable time frame with temperatures maybe being marginal here, right? Storm moves off. You see a trough kind of digging down here to the south, right? And let's look at the upper levels real quick. All right, so see that trough digging down, right? And it looks like it interacts just enough with the southern stream to get some snow up here. So go back to the surface. Yep. So for looks like maybe a swath of potentially heavy snow as we get into Monday morning, right? Potentially, but it's a holiday, so hopefully it won't be that impactful. What's it show as snowfall amounts? Let's take a look here. I just realized the AIGFS doesn't show snowfall amounts, but you could see that the AIGFS is hinting at this happening still. So, but we're threading the needle here, at least with this model. So we'll compare all the other global models as well. Talk about them all here. So what's a GFS show? Well, I mean, you're talking, overnight on Monday, right? Look at the GFS here. Snow. So, for parts of the, um, the higher terrain into parts of southern Pennsylvania, central Pennsylvania, moving into the Philadelphia area. Potentially heavy here, heavy swath of snow, right? The big cities, just to the north of Washington, D.C. The heaviest snow will be right along this boundary here, where you have some frontogenesis going on, most likely, right? And even into parts of New York City, northern New Jersey, and then it really wraps up here just as it gets offshore. If this were to wrap up a little bit closer, which it still could do, or it could trend downward, but let's go back one around and see what it looks like a little further to the west, but not much of a difference here, just a little bit subtle difference here, but anyway, it's still showing this. And so let's look at total. This is 10 to 1 total snowfall, right? And this may be a little bit overdone because it's 10 to 1. I'm not sure why it doesn't show it offshore there, but potential swath of 6 to 8 inches here. Very strange why it doesn't show it, but interesting if this plays out. So I'm also going to go over the ensembles as well as part of this, but I wanted to show you this. I'm not sure why it cuts it off here. Let's look at 48 hours. It does the same thing. So anyway, there we go. So here's the GFS. So this is a 6C GFS for the Northeast, right? We show the system moving in from the south, and it develops, shows this corridor of snow here, just like the operational run does, right? So let's look at the total amounts it's showing here. So here's your ensemble mean for the total snowfall amounts here. So the ensembles are, the GFS ensemble is on board with 10-to-1 ratio snowfall amounts of 10-to-1 ratio, excuse me, of 2 to 3 inches. Now, if we look at the GFS operational, we should be able to see the Kuchera, which is based on thermodynamic profiles. Let's look at that real quick. Wow. So, look at this. I mean, let's go back one run, see what it showed. It was a little further west with the higher snowfall totals last run. A little further east here with this run, and the run before that, not nearly as bullish, and before that, almost nothing. So, still some uncertainty with regards to the totals here, right? It all depends on whether surface low ends up speeding up. So yeah, this is, I think, this is a Kuchera ratio, which gives you snowfall totals based on the thermal profile. So I don't know, guys. Looking more likely that we're going to have a snowfall, some kind of snow here, somewhere in the northeast and mid-Atlantic. So what's a European show? It shows roughly the same thing as the GFS, with a swath of heavy, moderate heavy snow moving through the big cities here um, Monday morning, right? Luckily, it's a holiday, so maybe not many people on the roads, but um, let's look at the thermodynamic profile. Let's look at the temperature here with this. Supportive of snow, 20s and 30s, not and maybe a somewhat drier snow here. Let's look at dew points here as well, if it has it. Um, Dew points, 20s and 30s with some dry air further to the north. So now let's look at the snow totals here from the Euro. So generally, not nearly as bullish on the snowfall totals here from the Euro, right? But 2 to 3 inches possible with this event, at least according to Euro deterministic. Let's look at the Euro ensemble here. So the Euro ensemble, this is the snowfall totals, right? Showing roughly the same thing. Like I said, not as bullish. This is a 10-to-1 ratio, right? So maybe 10-to-1 is pretty accurate because it looks about the same as the ensemble. So, as the operational. So, what's the excuse me? What's the AIGIS? What's the AI Euro AI ensemble show here, and the AI European show also here? I'll go over that as well. Getting my tongue tied here, talking about all these models. You can see what the Euro AI is doing. Also, this is snowfall total 10-to-1 ratio, right? Let's go back one run. It was further to the east, then further to the west before that. So it's been waffling quite a bit. But you see 4 runs ago, it didn't even have anything. So um, it's been still moving around some as far as totals go, right? But this is most likely due to where the surface low wraps up here and moves to the north. So we go back with this 1 run. It's a little bit further to the west. We go latest run. It's really not much of a difference here. So it really depends on its position here. Yeah, so there's subtle differences, right? But I, I hesitate to say this is a sure thing just yet, but most of the models are agreeing on this, okay? So far, everyone I've looked at has some kind of snowfall here. So let's look at the European ensemble next. So what does the European AI ensemble show? It wants to have, it really likes the idea of having snowfall further to the west here, with the trough probably digging a little bit further deeper here earlier, and the highest amounts just offshore. But if this plays out, you have some higher amounts right down here in southern part of New Jersey. I don't know. Let's look at the thermal profiles here, if it'll let me see that. 2 meter temperature. This may be a little bit too cold, but we'll see. And so, that's all the global models, right? And I hesitate to use the short range models just yet because we're still a little bit far out. So stay tuned to this channel, and I'll do an update tomorrow for this area, especially because this won't be happening until Sunday night. So let's go back to this again real quick. Let's look at low locations with this. So pretty good agreement here for low locations, all right? So there are some outliers here, but with the low locations, it's very important. So a subtle shifts of 50 to 100 miles can make a big difference on who gets what. So let's move it back one run and take a look. It's actually more spread in the last run than it is this one. So um, some are further to the south, some further to the north, west, and east. So we take the average, and that's the middle of it, right? So anyway, we'll keep an eye on this and see how it evolves today and update you tomorrow. As far as 6 to 10 day and 8 to 14 day temperature outlook, you see the 6 to 10 day outlook highlights the warm conditions that continue in the east with near normal temps to below normal temps further out west. Alaska below, Hawaii above, Aleutian Island chain near normal to below to above. And we go 8 to 14 day temperature outlook. You see that's maintained with some suppression of the ridge a little bit, with near normal temps and maybe below, right along the eastern seaboard here in the northeast. The northeast has managed to stay either near or below normal for most of the season here so far. So the unsettled weather continues out west in parts of the northern high plains. Temperatures look to be below normal in Alaska still as well, above in Hawaii, and below to near normal to above in the Aleutian Island chain. As far as precip expected in the 6 to 14 day period, this is the 19th through the 23rd, either near normal or above, depending where you're at in the nation, pretty much bisecting the nation here. With below normal precip possible up here in northern Maine and parts of southern Florida, central Florida here. Near normal to below in Alaska, depending where you're at. Near normal to below in the Aleutian Island chain, above in Hawaii. And we go a little bit further out towards the end of the month. We have a return to below normal precip chances in the desert southwest to the interior Intermountain West here. The rest of the nation either normal to above, with above normal precip chances far to the northwest here. All right. So even in Alaska, we got below normal precip chances here to near normal, and a small area to the north and to the southeast here, and above in Hawaii, and below to near normal precip chances in the Aleutian Island chain. Well, according to the Climate Prediction Center, we're going to maintain warmer than normal temperatures, at least a good probability of that. Pretty much 3/4 of the nation, with the exception of out west here, equal chances to below in the northern to the U.S. as well. The northeast, a little bit less certain, but the northeast is mainly just staying cooler, near normal most of the year or below normal. So I wouldn't be surprised if this trends downward a little bit. Anyway, below normal in Alaska for temperatures, at least somewhat sure of that. Likely above here in Hawaii, below the equal to below, depending on where you are in the Aleutian Island chain. And then we go to the precip outlook, return to maintaining the below normal precip chances in the desert southwest, along the Gulf Coast, up along the East Coast as well, equal to above in the northwest U.S., roughly, and the Midwest, Ohio Valley, trending above, equal to below to above, depending where you're at in Alaska, Aleutian Island chain, equal to below and above, trending slightly above in the Hawaiian Islands. I didn't want to leave y'all out west here. I wanted to show y'all the snowfall totals out west here. We could potentially have through Tuesday, right? Just trying to zoom this in a little bit better, but let's see if I can get a better beat on this. So this is the official National Weather Service forecast snowfall amounts through Tuesday, 4 a.m. 2 feet of snow out west here, and then to also heavier snow up here in the Cascades. But the Sierra Nevadas can have up to 2 feet of snow with this, and the higher terrain, Crescent City, Redding, and those areas as well. So we shouldn't leave out these folks here. And in the longer term, we could even have more snowfall here. But this is the forecast as of now for the west here for snowfall. So I appreciate y'all watching today. I know I spent a lot of time on the East Coast and the severe weather threat, but I haven't forgotten about y'all out west here as well. We definitely need a snowfall out here, and hopefully I'll have more time to talk about this. I may put another video out tonight if I can make it and do that. It's going to be it's difficult to put together multiple videos a day. It takes a couple, 2, 3 hours to do this. So anyway, I appreciate y'all's support. Stay safe out there this weekend. It's going to be very busy weather-wise and hazardous conditions are likely in the south and into the northeast, potentially mid-Atlantic, and then out west here in the coming days. So hope y'all have a great Saturday, and hope you have Monday off, and God bless.